My name is Marcus Ruff. I am 17 years old. I'm an enrolled member of the Oglala Sioux tribe on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. I started writing poetry when I was in 6th grade. In middle school, I was in a dark place. I was the weird kid with choppy, faded red hair, acne, bad posture, and I was socially awkward. I was depressed and angry and frustrated with my family for making me transfer schools. Naturally, I wasn't accepted at my school all too well. I was bullied and I was ostracized, and I was really pushed to the edge of my suffering. But it was in that instance that I had almost reached my breaking point that my middle school writing teacher had introduced me to poetry. Now, in my experience as an artist, I learned that you can learn things from both school and poetry. You see, school teaches things through reason. Reason, according to Webster's dictionary, is defined as the capability of applying the rules of logic and verifying facts. Poetry, however, teaches things through passion. And when I say passion, I do not mean future careers that you would want to pursue. By passion, at least in my experience, is defined as the innate emotions that you are born with. Now, these could include love, happiness, greed, lust, and anger. Some of these emotions have had bad connotations societally, such as lust and anger. And throughout our lifetimes, we learn to repress these emotions because they're bad. Now, I actually think that these emotions can be utilized in a way that you could gain some sort of knowledge or wisdom from these emotions. Now, this is a concept that was developed by an Austrian psychologist by the name of Sigmund Freud, who had a psychoanalytic technique in which you brought forth the repressed emotions or thoughts and brought them into your consciousness so that you were aware of them, and that is how you would get rid of your suffering. I am Lakota. I do speak some Lakota, but I have not participated in any of the ceremonies I will be talking about besides the sweat lodge. From my understanding, I have learned about ceremonies from my elders and from an amazing Lakota theologian by the name of Vine Deloria Jr. Now, the reason why I'm talking about ceremonies is because I believe that ceremonies are very similar to writing poetry because there is an overall emphasis in Lakota ceremony to be alone with your suffering and to be in communion with it. So the first ceremony I wanted to talk about is Inipi, or sweat lodge. In Inipi, or sweat lodge, you go into a lodge that is symbolic of the womb of the earth. And in that lodge, there are red-hot rocks where water is poured. When this is done, you suffer both emotionally and physically. You're forced to be alone with that suffering. Another ceremony is Hamblecha, more commonly known as the Vision Quest. In Vision Quest, you go out into nature and you stand as much as you can. You do not eat, you do not drink for 4 days straight. As you can imagine, you suffer immensely during this ceremony. There's another ceremony called Sundance where you fast and you give flesh as an offering. There is an overall theme in Lakota ceremony of being alone with your suffering, and in doing so, you could gain some sort of knowledge or insight and be in communion with your emotions. Now, you may have had this experience in your life when you're in a rough patch and your head tells you one thing and your heart tells you another. Your head tells you to run. Your heart tells you to stay and face what's bothering you. If you only trust reason to guide you through these tough situations, you become all head and no heart. And whenever you become all head and no heart, you lack what your heart holds, which is hope. You're in a tough situation, and your head tells you to run away from the situation, but your heart tells you that things will get better. And I had written a poem to illustrate just that. From the ashes of suffering, the womb of emotion will create the genesis of wisdom. From the landscapes of reason, knowledge will guide you to overcome your fear. Thank you.